why rising interest rates shouldn't stop you from buying your next home.
Coming up next on Real Estate Dirt.
So, are the rising interest rates making you hesitate about buying your next home, right? Because you think, oh, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till the market improves. I would like to know, market improving, like the market improved like 6 months ago when people were bidding $50,000, $100,000 over list price, then it would appraise low and people would bring cash to the table. So like people were intentionally overpaying with cash. And we think that's better than a little bit more in interest rates. I mean, when we bought our first home, well, no, second home, it was 6%.
You know what? I think that over time, we haven't learned that every time you slam your arms down on the table, the camera vibrates, and it's not very professional.
You know what? Maybe I'm staying on topic. That's what I'm doing. I'm just passionate. I don't know why you can't seem to understand this, but back to the topic at hand, which is
interest rates.
Right.
And the interest rates rising, keeping you out of the real estate market.
And how it shouldn't be. I mean,
no, it should not.
Would you rather, or what about the fact? I mean, we had some instances going on since, 2020 when the market skyrocketed. We had people paying cash. Mm-hmm. We had 20, 30, 40, 50 multiple offers on a single property at a time, to the point where you maybe couldn't even get the house, depending on the type of financial
no second showings.
Yeah, there were no second
couldn't
showings.
Go see it with your family a second time or whatever. No way.
Waiving inspection, so you couldn't even determine whether or not what you bought for above appraised value was a lemon or not.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be a money pit.
Right. And it could cost you even more. But now we look back at that. I would actually think that would be a bigger concern than, hey, interest rates went up a couple points.
So what are interest rates at right now?
Last week when I checked with Casey, our preferred lender, they were 5.2% for a 30-year good credit.
Okay. So
conventional. When
we bought our first house, what was our interest rate?
6%.
No.
Yes, it was.
No, it was not.
Yes, what was it?
It was a 7.25 ARM.
Oh, on the townhouse?
Yep.
Oh, I was thinking the second house
7.25
6.
adjustable rate mortgage.
Oh, we did adjustable. I think that was before we were realtors.
And then
which is not
a couple
bad.
years later, we refinanced to 6%, and we were just the toast of the town. We thought that we were awesome. We had the lowest interest rate ever. Now interest rates are in the 5s, and people are, upset about it.
But paying $50,000 over list price and cash and not even getting the house and waiving inspections is better. No. I'd rather pay a little more in interest rate over the life of the loan, piggybacking off what you said, and I can refinance down the line.
Refinance.
When rates drop. They probably will, usually presidential years. Typically.
Every 4 years, historically, interest rates will drop. So if you're spending a lot less money on the purchase price of the home because you're not fighting 50 other people for it, and you have to pay a little bit of extra interest up front, you can always refinance.
Interest is also tax deductible.
Oh, who knew?
Right? Throwing an extra $50,000 cash is not. And what about those of us who don't have the $50,000 cash and just couldn't get the house and pushed you out of the market?
What would you do if you just had an extra $50,000 cash right now, just bonus money that just appeared, stacks of hundreds right in front of you? What would you do?
I don't know. We're way off topic.
Here. Better said. What would you do with $50,000 bonus money? Like a genie came up and just gave you $50,000, but the only caveat was you couldn't save it. You had to spend it. What would you do with that money?
I would go on a cruise to Egypt and Israel.
Okay, so there's $10,000 of it. What would you do with the other 40?
This is way off topic.
You have to spend it. You have to spend the other 40.
What is the point of this?
Well, we're waiting.
All we're trying to say is that by saving that extra 50, you can do whatever you want with the money.
Oh, is that where you're going with it? Well, true. But let us give you one more strategy.
And you know what? You should slam the table to emphasize your point.
Let us give you one more strategy. If the interest rates are still bothering you and you're just like, hey, I can't pay 5%, or maybe the interest rate's a little higher for the loan product you're choosing. That does happen, okay? You can use credits from the seller to buy down your interest rate. I think a lot of consumers don't understand that you can pay a point on your loan, and we'll explain that in a second, and you can buy down your interest rate. And a buy down on the interest rate is over the entire length of the mortgage, whether that was 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or 30 years. So when you buy down an interest rate, it stays. So, for example, let's say we have $100,000 and the interest rate, I'm making up numbers here, and the interest rate is 5%. Okay? And you want to buy down the rate. You can pay 1 point, which is 1% of the loan. So you're buying a $100,000 house.
A point equals a percentage.
Yes.
Okay.
1 point for $100,000, that's 1%. So that's $1,000. You can buy down your rate. So let's say it's a 5% rate. Let's say you can buy it down to by 0.25% for the $1,000. And I'm making up numbers.
We're just making up numbers.
Okay.
That's what we do.
Sometimes it'll be a little more, a little less, depends on your loan product, how much you can buy down the rate. You can maybe do a little bit more money to buy down the rate further, but you can run these calculations with your mortgage professional. So you pay that up front, and then it buys down the rate 0.25% for the next 30 years of your loan. We did an example where we did a base price of like a $350,000 house, and we took the loan down with 2 points. We lowered the rate almost half a point, and it came out to $37,000 over the 30-year loan that the buyer saved. Now, that was not compounding interest. So the $37,000 was actually I just did monthly. I didn't find a compounding interest calculator to get the real number. So it's more than that over the life of the loan versus, the purchase price.
So a lot of times buyers will ask sellers for a closing credit.
Yes.
And they roll extra money into the loan that the buyers receive at the closing table.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, you, the seller, you can actually say, hey, instead of giving you this money at closing, I'll take that money, or we'll take that money, and we'll apply it towards buying down your interest rate, which in this case that Nicole's just talking about, you said what, $35,000 over the...
It was $37,000.
$37,000. So instead of giving you $5,000 now, I'll save you $37,000 over the course of your loan. That's a pretty
Now,
pretty
I think
deal.
you just shifted pretty quick into a seller. What a seller could do. A seller can offer $5,000 to example. Remember, example only. Offer $5,000 as a credit. So let's discuss what that looks like. And buyers, this is how you don't have to use cash out of your pocket to buy down the rate. Because what you might be thinking is, well, I don't have X amount of dollars to buy it down. I don't have $1,000 extra. I'm putting it all down on the house. The seller can offer you the credit. So let's say you're buying the $100,000 house and you're going to pay 2 points. That would be $2,000 to buy down your rate. That $2,000 can come from the seller. So you can still buy the house for $100,000. The seller can give you a $2,000 credit at the closing table. So really the seller's actually selling you their house for $98,000 because at the closing table they're giving you $2,000, right? You're still financing. Now you are financing that $2,000. And I know this is getting deep, but basically it's a way that you don't have to have cash out of pocket. You can lower your interest rate over the life of the loan. And of course, how much you put toward that and how much it reduces your interest rate depends on your loan product. But it is a discussion that is worth soundboarding if the higher interest rate really bothers you. And it could give you a little more purchasing power.
And think of all the cruises that you could to Egypt and Greece that you could do with all that extra money that you would save over the lifetime of the loan.
I didn't say Greece, but that's on the list too. I would love to go to Greece. Never been there. So this is it's also a strategy for sellers. Sellers, instead of negotiating the price down, right? $2,000 from the $100,000, selling it for $98,000. Give the buyer a credit and let them buy down the rate, which is a long-term benefit in saving them money over the life of the loan, for sure.
You know what it is? It's just a creative way of working with the buyer.
Absolutely.
It's a creative way of both parties, the buyer and the seller, to work together.
So if it bothers you, you can buy down the rate. You can always refinance later down the line, because really at the end of the day, the moral of the story is There's always going to be a challenge in the real estate market, right? 6 months ago, it was multiple offers, bids, and waiving inspections. Now it's the high interest rates. You've really got to buy when the time is right for you in your life and it makes financial sense. Because the truth is, at the end of the day, owning real estate builds wealth. So when the time's right is when the time's right. It's never going to be a perfect storm. And there's always strategies you can do when you hire a quality, experienced professional that can help you navigate any market out there so that it fits your needs best. Right?
That's just well said. Well said.
Right.
Well said.
Yeah.
You know what? You win the video.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So that's all I got.
Good job.
That was dumb.
Do you know that when you're high-fiving someone, if you stare at their elbow, you will never miss a high five?
That is great information, Tony. So do you have anything else to add?
I don't think there's anything else on the little notepad, so
we're all good.
We're all good.
So if you liked what you saw here, please click the subscribe button.
And subscribe.
Like and subscribe. And as we build the videos, we hope you watch the next one.
We might build better videos in the future.
No, this one was pretty awesome. I mean, are you serious?
Welcome to Real Estate Dirt. I'm chewing a piece of candy right now.
Seriously, stop it. Run.
Totally ready.
Have another lifesaver.
I'm done.
I can hear all the juices in your mouth crackling and making those messed up noises. Drive me crazy. Put it on or not put it on?
It's on.
Like, you just keep turning it on and off. Like, figure it out. You're just going to let this run like this?
Yeah, why not? Keep hitting the table.
Just leave it. You're just going to have to cut that part out. Okay? I can't. You gas it over.